Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, this is yet another example of why we have found ourselves in the situation that we have found ourselves in Nigeria. So guys, I bring you the story of a retired General Danjuma, Theophilus Danjuma, a retired army officer who spent all of his active working life as a military personnel in Nigeria, which then means, of course, it was on a salaried income. So he was on a salaried income until he retired, which then places him on a pension. So that is the background to this guy. So now I'll bring you the headline, and then you would see then why I started with that preamble about this is what's led us to the situation that we found ourselves. And bear in mind also, this is just one man, and this is one of several men, and it's not the highest at the level of this goings on, but it's just one example. So here's the headline: Retired General Danjuma is worth $1.2 billion, US media organization says. So that's the headline. Retired General Danjuma is worth $1.2 billion. This is according to US media report. So now here is the body of the story. So a report by Bloomberg. So this is a reputable media outfit. So a report by Bloomberg states that Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma is currently worth $1.2 billion. The report disclosed further that the 80-year-old former military officer now owns a 300-year-old inn in the city of London. So inn, I-double-N, so it's like effectively a pub. So he owns a 300-year-old inn in the city of London. Danjuma, who retired from the Nigerian military in 1979, reportedly made his fortune in Nigeria, and this was boosted by an oil block awarded to him. So there you have it. So there at the heart of it right there is that one line: an oil block awarded to him, which then amounts to $1.2 billion fortune. A retired Nigerian Army General and former Minister of Defense, Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma, is currently worth an estimated $1.2 billion, Bloomberg, a US-based media organization, has said. This amounts to 432 billion naira in the Nigerian currency, as the media organization declares that the 80-year-old's family office managing a portion of the wealth. According to Bloomberg, the retired officer now owns King's Arms Hotel, a 300-year-old inn next to London's Hampton Court Palace, once the home of Henry VIII. So the hotel next to Henry VIII's former home is now owned by this Nigerian billionaire Danjuma. Theophilus Danjuma is estimated to be worth $1.2 billion, sources. When it finally starts operating, the medium said each of his room will cost about £250 to £318 a night. We never tend to look at trophy assets. We are not going to head to Mayfair to buy a £15 million apartment, primarily because we are a yielding business. The report quoted Hannatu Gentiles, the second daughter of Danjuma's 5 children and chief operating officer of his London-based family office, as saying, born in 1938, Danjuma made his fortune from the Nigerian oil sector. He was reportedly awarded an oil block by the military government. The Nigerian Army General was said to have dropped out of college in 1960 to join the Nigerian Security Organization, where he gained prominence after allegedly participating in the 1966 counter-coup against Nigeria's first military dictator. He retired from the Nigerian Army in 1979 and founded an oil and shipping company which currently has over 2,000 workers. Meanwhile, the correspondent earlier reported how Femi Falana, the Nigerian lawyer and right activist, recently accused the military administration of Ibrahim Babangida of being partly responsible for the current economic challenges facing the country currently. Falana hinged the challenges on the introduction of Structural Adjustment Program (SAP) by the administration of the military government of Babangida in 1986, which led to the selling of public assets to wealthy Nigerians. So the selling of public assets to wealthy Nigerians. So there you have it. So we have this Theophilus Danjuma fella, a guy who apparently left school to go and join the military and then retired from the military in 1979, having been on a salaried income, and then suddenly he was awarded an oil block, and this oil block, by the way, was awarded to him by the Abacha regime, because this guy has actually come out to give that narrative of how he was awarded that oil block. He said Abacha sent for him without him inviting himself to go meet Abacha, and then when we met with Abacha, Abacha just subsequently awarded him an oil block. He said he never asked for it, and Abacha just awarded it to him. So I'm not quite sure why Abacha would have done that, but this is what Danjuma said, and then he then promptly, of course, sold it on to the highest bidder, and then thus amounted a mass amount of money. So this is now how things are done in Nigeria. All these oil deals, for me, really, all the oil deals that were done under military administration should automatically be revoked, because these things were just awarded to themselves, and this is really what is now leading the country to the situation that we find ourselves now, because military administration has no legal backing, because they rule by decree, not by the constitution. So a constitutionally constituted democratic administration should then use the tools of data democracy to cancel out all of the doings, at least the doings that they can cancel of the military regime, because the military regime is not a representative of the will of the people, is in fact anti the will of the people, and what is done under the military administration or a military administration should not hold sway in a civilian dispensation, in a democratic dispensation. So a lot of these oil deals should be cancelled, especially this oil, because if you look at this now, this one guy has now a fortune of $1.2 billion off the back of the Nigerian state. So this guy has a $1.2 billion fortune off the back of the Nigerian state, and this is just one guy. It's not the highest guy, it's not the lowest guy, it's just a middle guy, really. So if this guy Theophilus Danjuma, who said he did not really request for this but got it anyway, has $1.2 billion off the back of the Nigerian state, what about the people above him? What about the people of more relevance? How much are they controlling? 5, 6, 7 billion dollars, and we're not talking about one person, we're not talking about 10 people, we're talking about hundreds of people. So if you look at then the amount of money that has been purloined and stolen and cheated out of the Nigerian system, then really you will begin to get a good feel of why the country is in the state that it is. Because you will recall that Abacha's child came out and said, after they were recovering all this money from his family, his son came out and said that this is reported to have said, because I didn't hear him say it, he didn't say it to me, but it's reported to have said that no matter how much money they recover, that their family would never be as poor as Dangote. So this is what this guy has said, that their family would never be as poor as Dangote. So if the Abacha family is saying that they are never going to be as poor as Dangote, and Dangote is the richest man in Africa, and Abacha is just one of the looters, because Babangida is very much above Abacha when it comes to looting, and Obasanjo is not far behind. So if you have all of these people who have been looting and pillaging all the way through the Nigerian system, all there. So this guy with 1.2 billion is actually a pauper compared to a lot of these people, because Dangote controls a fortune in the tens of billions, at least the mid tens of billions. So this guy is a 50-60 billion fortune guy, if not 100 billion fortune guy. So if Abacha's son is saying he's never going to be as poor as him, then you can imagine the sort of fortune that he's commanding. Then imagine the sort of fortune that Babangida is commanding. So then this 1.2 billion dollars is just really chicken change to a lot of people. So you can then see now why we're in the state that we're in, with so many people looting from the limited resources, because Nigeria is a very wealthy country, make no mistake. Nigeria is one of the richest countries on the planet. But then if you have that many people stealing and looting from this thing, because we still have the Dasuki storyline, we still have the Alison Maduekwe, or whatever her name is, we still have the Dan Tete storyline, we still have what is going on currently under the present CBN governor, and the one that went on under the Lamido Dasuki. So if you think of all of this looting, then you would see why Nigeria is in the state that it is. So now this little narrative of this Theophilus Danjuma is just a macrocosm of the malaise that afflicts the Nigerian state, why we are in the position that we're in, and why we will never escape from this position unless something drastic happens. Nothing will ever really change in that country, and this Danjuma storyline is just one narrative that evidences that fact that nothing will ever really change, because there is no punitive measure, there's no punishment for stealing. In fact, the punishment is for not stealing. If you don't steal, you can't go back to your village, because they will say, what did you chop? When everybody has chopped everything, what did you bring? So this is now is corruption that is rewarded in Nigeria, and is worshipped and lauded, because we have this sort of like a Stockholm syndrome in the Nigerian mindset, where we are winning victims, and we even celebrate our victimness, and we rank at people victimizing us. So this is why things will never change. So conversations in the comment section is what I am inviting regarding all this. But before you come join me in the comment section to have that conversation, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray, bell button, that way you're notified every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you're making of all this in the comment section. So I'll leave you here, meet you there, but here I say peace.